This is Billy. He builds and sells apps for thousands of dollars using AI.
One day, I'm sitting at my desk. I'm going through Upwork looking for Airtable jobs. So I'm looking for new clients that way. And I see one, and this guy needs an Airtable with a front end and software for entering data for auto garages. So what I did was I ported a Loom and I said, hey, here's what an Airtable might look like that could do this. And I also built out a demo in Replit. I didn't tell him, this is Replit, I used VO for the interface. He doesn't care about that. So I put that in and I got the job and he said, I like your Replit version better.
And he does this all without writing a single line of code.
The easiest thing you can do to set you up to develop and sell an app is to find a one feature problem. So you've got to find someone who needs help with like uploading documents or automating data entry or reporting data from a spreadsheet. One thing, it's so simple.
And he's going to explain how you can do this too. You're going to be learning what kind of AI tools to use and how to get started. I'm Doc Williams, a no-code tool specialist and tech entrepreneur with over 12 years of experience. Let's get started. Hey everybody, it's your boy Doc Williams, and we are back with the Doc Williams podcast, and we have the pleasure to be with who today?
Hey Doc, it's Billy Howell. I'm glad to be here. Let's talk apps, man.
Love it, love it. Billy, first of all, tell the good people a little bit about yourself. Who are you, where you come from, all that kind of good stuff, man.
I am a serial shiny object entrepreneur. I quit my government consulting job 5 years ago and started a marketing agency. And I really kind of found my thing with building apps using AI. And so that's what I'm doing right now, building apps for businesses and teaching people about it.
Good times. So tell me about that navigation. You said about 5 years, then marketing, then going into AI. Tell me a little bit more about that. The marketing agency, were you using no-code tools? Were you just
Sure.
doing campaigns? Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the greatest ways to learn is actually building useful tools, is by doing something else besides selling automations and AI apps. So I was doing marketing. I started in SEO for startups. First thing I built was an automated SEO blog for a startup. Kind of went from there, reselling that. So I learned to kind of build lots of automations and, always kind of fiddled around with code, got better and better at using AI to kind of help people with things like data cleaning, organize their Google Sheets. So uh, now that these AI coding tools are here, I mean, they just unleashed a beast, dude. It's amazing what you can build now.
That's awesome. So AI is moving very quickly, all this space. Tell me, how long have you been building with this? Has it been the last year, a couple months when like Cursor blew up? What's the timeline been like for you?
I mean, as soon as there was an AI you could talk to that understood coding, so OpenAI, I was all over that. Like I said, I had clients that needed stuff that I didn't know how to do, but I said, sure, I can do that, and taught myself JavaScript and Google Apps Scripts was kind of my starting place. Just pasting entire documents into Chat GPT and saying, fix this, just waste burning credits, but kind of learning that way coding, and then tried a lot of different stacks and kind of felt like React and Node apps are like my thing. And I've been off to the races with Replit's really been kind of what's been great for me. And then Cursor and Windsurf for code editing. But I started, I had a heavy foundation in no code tools. So making apps in Bubble, client facing apps, like internal apps usually, using things like Airtable and Softer to make internal apps too for startups. So having that solid foundation of visually laying stuff out in Figma or Bubble, then using automations and like make.com. It's pretty much at a certain point, you're just coding, but with dragging and drop, and it's almost slower than coding. So then AI kind of helps you move over to writing those things with code.
Love it. Love it. So tell me a little bit about Replit, your experience. The reason I reached out initially, I saw one of your tweets. You were talking about that you were selling a couple projects with Replit. And I was like, okay, I got to talk to this guy. A lot of people have questions on this, definitely on our channel and different things. So tell me the process a little bit about what it was like with Replit and then going through and selling and everything like that.
Yeah, man, I think I could be really helpful here because I think you guys can do this. People listening, like so first of all, I am like an Upwork hound. A really good like muscle to build is just going on Upwork for like 10 minutes a day and seeing what's there. You'll never know what you find. people are telling you, I want to pay money for this. And then all you have to do is deliver it. So one day I'm sitting at my desk and I'm going through Upwork looking for Airtable jobs because I'm really good at Airtable and I set up custom Airtable workflows with automations for lots of startups. So I'm looking for new clients that way. And I see one, and this guy needs an Airtable with a front end and software for entering data for auto garages. And I'm sitting here at my desk thinking, like, man, this guy's going to pay 250, 300 bucks a month for all these seats in Airtable, and then he's going to pay for software, and he's going to pay too much, and he doesn't need all those bells and whistles. So what I did was I recorded a loom and I said, hey, here's what an Airtable might look like that could do this. And I also built out a demo in Replit. Like, this is what it would look like if I did this with code. I didn't tell him, this is Replit. I used VO for the interface. He doesn't care about that. He just wants to see that the app works. So I put that in and I got the job. And he said, I like your Replit version better. Let's go with that. And I kind of did it on the fly. I kept the price that he quoted me. He quoted, he wanted to spend 750 bucks. And I said, I'll take that. This is the first one I'm shipping. And yeah, it took, of course, way more hours than I thought it would. But you iterate, and now I kind of got a model for it. And so I would encourage people to go look for any sort of no code tool or like CRM that you're super familiar with on a platform like Upwork, and see if you can pitch people on making them a no code, not a no code app, an AI built app instead.
I love it. So if I'm understanding correctly, there's a couple insights that I really like that you said.
Mhm.
Number one, you were looking already on a marketplace. You're already looking for what people are saying. So you're already seeing the trends, what people are willing to pay. And then you went ahead and then were able to ship like a demo just for them to
Mhm.
get that confidence and to know you and that you can deliver,
Mhm.
and then went from there. That's fascinating. That's a
Yep.
really good point. That's a really good point. It's already showing people where they can find work and everything like that. That's awesome.
I mean, it, and I'm guilty of this, making apps that I think are useful, and then you put it out in the world, and there's like no distribution, right? Like, people, there's a place on the internet, a couple places where people have written out exactly what they want and how much they want to pay. Go do that. I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? I don't think you should build something if you haven't sold it first, right? And with AI, it's even easier to do like a quick mock-up and show someone. And it's sales 101, right? You can put their company name at the top, the name of the app. I flatter them, it's fun. And I think it's approachable.
I love it, man. You mentioned something, and some might be familiar in the audience, some might not. You mentioned V0 and Replit. Now, a lot of people,
Yeah.
they're getting started. They're like, but which one should I use? Should I use V0?
Yeah.
How does it connect? All this stuff. Could you kind of talk about your workflow or your tech stack of what tools you like to use as
Yeah.
you're getting started in doing that?
Yeah. So yeah, you're not going to like this answer, but you have to try them all and find what workflow works for you. Uh, and the reason you want to try them all is you got to know what each of them are good at, and you got to know which models are good at what too, to an extent. And so for me, in my workflow, I like using Replit to start because the way I prompt it, it's pretty simple. Just kind of type in, I want a web app, and I want you to use React, and I want you to use ShadCN for the UI, and I want you to use a Postgres database. I might be speaking a foreign language to people. You don't need to prompt all of that in Replit. It'll probably do that same exact stack like 85% of the time, because that's what's kind of bolted on. And so Replit has a lot more like guardrails and UI for people who might be not as technical. So it's definitely a good place to start. So I like Replit because it'll do kind of a similar stack like that every time. I'll be familiar with the architecture. And V0, it's a front end designer. You type in what kind of page you want and what should be on it, and it'll make you all those components. And then you can just pull that code, put it into Replit, and say, hey, use this for the dashboard, right? It's a good starting point. You could do that and pull it into Cursor or Windsurf too. And the great thing about VO is V0 is that it uses an existing component library. I think it's ShadCN. Replit seems to understand it really well, so that's a really good synergy. And then Cursor and Windsurf are local IDEs, so local code editors. And that's when you really get into the nitty gritty. I find they're really good for if you just can't fix a bug in Replit, which has a built-in agent and assistant for debugging and new features. If that gets stuck, uh, going into Cursor and Windsurf can kind of break that loop. It doesn't necessarily need to be that flow. I think just if you have a problem with one app and your AI is getting stuck in a loop, go try it in a different one instead of spinning your wheels for 30 minutes in one app, is kind of what I've learned. So that's kind of the process for me right now that's working. I'm sure it'll change. Um, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Like it. Now, and that's really good. Thank you so much for breaking down your process. From what we see over and over again, the questions in the comment section, the most liked videos,
Yep.
a lot of times people are like, wait, that sounds great, man, but that's not working for me. I don't
Yeah.
even know how to get to step one.
Yeah.
If you were thinking about this and you have a marketing background, but
Yep.
what would be the simplest step
Mhm.
that a lot of indie hackers, a lot of no coders, vibe coders, whatever it might be, what's the first step for them to get that first client, that first thing sold?
Yeah. So the easiest thing you can do to set you up to sell to develop and sell an app is to find a one feature problem. And what do I mean by one feature problem? It's a problem that can be solved with one feature by an app, right? So you've got to find someone who needs help with like uploading documents or automating data entry or reporting data from a spreadsheet. Like one thing, it's so simple, and that way you can't mess it up. It'll be super easy to make with code. You can get a mock-up really quickly. And so to do that, I would go on Upwork and strategically scan for people who need just like one automation, not six all into one app, or uh, so, you don't want someone who needs like an entire custom CRM. You want someone who's like, I have documents in Google Drive and I want them to go into my email. Build them a front end app that has an automation in the background that does that, right? Something super simple. One feature app is where I would definitely start. Uh, Things basic CRUD, a CRUD app. So what is it? Create,
Read, update, delete.
read, update, delete. Yeah, good, good. I knew it. That's also super easy because it's just kind of a table and like a dashboard and maybe like an admin panel. I would look for those kinds of opportunities so you don't bite off more than you can chew. And so literally first steps, yeah, would be pay whatever, 35 bucks for Replit Pro and get an Upwork account. On Upwork, put a headshot of yourself from the shoulders up, looking at the camera. Fill out your bio. Make sure you choose a metro area. There's this guy, I'm sure you know him, Doc. I think Nick or Nikki on YouTube that talks about automations and Upwork. I would go watch his videos. He's gonna tell you way more matter of factly than I'll be able to. But that's what I would do, and I would buy Upwork credits and spend them because they're worth the investment.
Love it. I love it. Very actionable. I really like this. Could you talk about the common pitfalls of using these kind of tools, right? Replit's great, but there's pros and cons with everything that you use. Is there something that either people aren't using the platform in a certain way that it's like, this is the most common problem
Yeah.
people have, or this is something that people ask for it to do, but it can't accomplish? Either one of those things ring any bells to you?
Yeah, common pitfalls for me are integrating Stripe or like Google OAuth. I'm getting better using Firebase for that. But be explicit upfront with the AI about what libraries you want to use and what APIs instead of uh, later on trying to bolt them on. You don't have to say add Stripe right away, but like let it know we're going to add Stripe eventually. So it kind of has that in mind. What I do, my process is I brain dump everything we need in the app, all the pages, all the features. I start thinking about all the routes and kind of work like automations. Those would be like the workflows that we need. I brain dump all of that. You can talk, do voice to text. Then I put that into Chat GPT and I say, put this into a product requirements document for me for an AI engineer. and try to be agnostic about what stack you use, right? And it'll put it into like step by step what feature, what order to do features, and then I'll feed that into Replit or Cursor. So yeah, Pitfall I think would be kind of not planning. Um, yeah,
That makes sense. That makes sense. So we this space is moving very quickly. All these things are happening. I got a couple questions for you. What are you excited about coming up in this next quarter or next year of 2025? Where are we in 2025? Yeah. So
yeah, I think so. Be weird if we weren't.
yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. In this year, what are you excited about? Different features that are now coming online, all those different things. What do you see? What do you like?
I really think that soon we're going to see something that's just like an operator where you give them a login to like a SaaS app and then it's smart enough to go in and poke around and clone it. Uh, so kind of scared of that, honestly, because it'll kind of could replace all of us, right? Um, I think I think more, yeah, more kind of operator type things. I haven't used ChatGPT operator yet, so I'm excited for the other apps to offer something like that where you can kind of let your AI get in the driver's seat and do stuff in your browser for you. And then setting up those custom kind of workflows for other people. I know you can do stuff with Google Chrome extensions right now, but I think people like the visual. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's hard to predict what's going to come next, right?
No, it's true. It's true. But I like it's kind of like the open sea right now
Uh-huh.
again. Remind me, like maybe 5 years ago with no code, there was just an explosion of all these different platforms, all these things on the
Hmm.
scene. I feel like this is even faster with AI and so many different opportunities, and there's so many crazy things people are building, and you see on X and everything. It's great stuff.
So I kind of thinking about where this is going. What really excites me is we're going back from Web 2.0 kind of to the 2000s where everyone had their own website, and then a couple of years down the road, everyone had their own app. But I think it's good this time. Um, so we're kind of reducing. We're able to help small business owners and startups reduce their dependency on one size fits all SaaS by making custom apps, and I think that's really empowering. And I think it's really good for technology and technological literacy in general that people are starting to look at computers as something that can do stuff for them besides just what's in your browser, right? So that's kind of what's exciting to me is kind of returning back to early web. Everyone has custom apps and workflows that work for them.
I love it. No, it's very exciting. I think about it. There's a term a lot of people use. The hustle and trends used to talk about like the great bundling and unbundling of
Yep.
everything, right?
Yeah.
So with Reddit, with so many different things, cable, it doesn't matter. It's always bundling and unbundling. And with all these custom apps, it's like all of these great ideas where if you weren't technical, you could never get it done. Now's your opportunity to build it for your community, for yourself. You don't have to worry
Yeah.
about anything else, which is awesome.
I had a guy call me the other day. So I'll plug my agency. It's called stupidsimpleapps.com with hyphens in there. And so he saw my tweet and he called me and he's in real estate and he's like, man, I got 8 ideas, but I'm going to start with number one, talk for 45 minutes about this idea. And then he's got, three others, like one he wants to build for his dad, one he wants to build for like a business partner. And so I think it really is exciting to see people be able to like realize their ideas. And also I think it just, I think people like these idea people that want to pay to build apps are happy to talk to people like me who maybe have more of like a marketing and like consulting background versus like engineers that are kind of entrenched in their specific stack. So I can be a little more flexible and kind of build, um, you know, not anything, but try to build an MVP of anything. And so can everyone else now too. So I think that's cool.
That's awesome. So let's dive a little bit deeper in, after your tweet, a lot of things blew up. People were
Yeah.
talking to you. I see you on YouTube. I saw a video when you were buying the domain, all of those things. Tell us about like the fast tracking and what you're doing, different services that has really spawned from this adventure and all those things.
Yeah, yeah. It's been fast, and I'm glad I started posting on YouTube. I hadn't really been doing it, and just figured I'd record myself using Replit to build some apps. And I try to make them instructional and to help people like do stuff like build landing pages or build this kind of app. And so yeah. Anyway, one of them blew up. I keep tweeting every time I sell an app, and people seem to like that. And so I kind of made the agency landing page just to have something to do in a video. Um, because I have so many side projects, but I like to give each of them a name and a domain. And so then all of a sudden I'm like laughing in the video because Replit did such a like silly great job making this landing page. I was laughing. I was like, I guess I'm an agency owner now. And I set up a Calendly and like plugged it, into the website. I had a tweet go viral, and now my calendar's full of inbound people that are like, "Hey, I've got this app idea. Can you build it?" So I'm hiring now. I think once you get past, I think if you want to do this as like your full thing and not part time, you need to hire way sooner than you think. I know you've heard this business advice before, and if you're listening right now, you probably won't really understand it until you make the mistake yourself. But I've definitely made the mistake of dragging my feet on hiring, and then I'm kind of a glorified freelancer stretched too thin. I'm on this treadmill of deliverables. So I'm, talking to a lot of smart engineers and salespeople right now to join the team. Um, Luckily, when you have a tweet go viral, you kind of get a lot of great people DMing you. So there's a good talent pool. If you can't, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but go back to Upwork. It's a skill hiring people, and it's a muscle that you definitely have to build. So I would just see what's out there. I think the first thing that you should outsource if you're trying to really systematize selling apps is anything in the sales process. So scheduling probably first, writing proposals, getting back a proposal um, with the same day or the next day is so critical because things move so fast these days, and we live in such an instant demand economy, right? So get really good at sending proposals out fast. That would be my advice.
I love
And
it.
then service wise, I guess that was your question. So what we do is for a flat fee, we get MVPs set up really quickly. We usually try to work with small businesses and startups. That's kind of where we see the need. Um, and we set up a quick MVP. We sell it to you for a flat fee, and then we host it and offer like some support for like a cheap flat fee every month. Like I don't know, depending on how complicated it is, be somewhere between like 100 to 300 bucks, maybe. Just depends on what your tech stack is, what you're using. That's the model. It's probably not perfect, but it's what we're doing right now, and it's undercutting kind of slow old school dev firms that will charge like a bloated retainer every month. Um, and so I think you should, know what you're going to get up front and get one price for it, and then pay on the back end for ongoing maintenance and additional features. Um, that's what we've been doing. And then yeah, also I just had to like throw up a Calendly for anyone who wants help with building and selling apps. You can pay for an hour of my time and I'll help you make a plan. So those are kind of what I'm doing with these two things right now.
It's awesome, man. I love to see it. I love the iteration. And as you're going through this, I can't wait to see and talk to you in a few months and a year to see how it's growing, all of those things. And it's really inspiring for ones to just get started. I'm so glad that you got to share your story with this at the more beginning part. And we can't wait to see all the things that you're going to be doing in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Before we go, a couple things. Of course, we got to plug where everyone can find you, all of those good things. But also, I wanted to ask you, as we went through all these different topics, discuss how you build, how you think about marketing as your first step. Is there any one question you wish I would have asked you during this interview?
Oh wow. Maybe no, I don't know. I think we covered it all. Oh, yes, actually. Yeah, 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 yeah. You didn't ask like we didn't talk about like skill, right? And so you didn't ask like how did you get good at building apps? That's the one that I kind of want to talk about. Um, you have to build a lot of them, and so I think this is something that I've learned over 5 years. kind of harnessing having a distracted scatterbrain that's interested in lots of different things is how to try different things and gain like a above average competency at them, but then know when you're spinning your wheels and not getting better at something. Uh, and so with apps and AI coding, um, you need to you need to figure out like a structured process and try to iterate on it and do it every time. But like the best thing is just like do quantity over quality to start, because you need to make a lot of different kinds of apps, because if you're trying to build the same kind of app every time, you're not going to learn about different libraries or like different tools. So by working on, like an SEO SaaS app, and then working on like a roguelike pirate ship game, which are both things I built. You'll find there's lots of crossover that'll, you know, lead to serendipity. And then the other good thing is by making lots of different kinds of apps, you can confidently tell people on sales calls and proposals, yeah, I've done something like that. I've used this to build this. So that would work for you. Um, so yeah, I probably would say I built, I mean, you can go in like my Replit history and there's probably 50 apps in there since I downloaded it, or didn't download it, but signed up 3 months ago. And then there's a ton more sitting on my hard drive from Cursor and Windsurf. Um, so do a lot of reps, but make sure they're good reps. So like, even if it's not perfect, if you're not going to push it and market it, which you probably shouldn't, drop it and go to the next one. Um, but then realize which ones are good. Like you gotta figure out which ones you should. It's actually worth extra 5% to finish and put online, right? Usually those are the ones that you've already sold that people pay money for. So yeah, don't get bogged down in some like dream project that you're going to spend a year and a half on perfecting, because you don't know if anyone's going to love it, right? You don't know if people are going to buy it. That's just kind of my mindset.
I love that. That last one, I want to dig a little bit deeper. You mentioned some you have to like add that extra 5%. And if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that's an indication if you're getting it sold. But I would assume that has to do with some kind of either marketing or some kind of effort for people to know about it. How do you know when to actually start telling people about it? Are they in Reddit groups? Are you sharing it with friends? Where do you see your success for yourself or others?
So my kind of process is I make a bunch of apps that are like, 80% done just for fun, right? So you have to actually like doing this. And then I talk about them to people in real life, like at parties or like on the phone. And if someone's like, and I don't say, please go use my app, I say, I built this. And if someone goes, oh, yeah, where can I try it? Then I finish it and I send it to them. That's kind of my process. Now, none of those apps are like huge, and I don't make money from most of those like little hobby project ones, but someone has to tell you, I want to use this app, in my opinion, before you build it. Yeah.
No, I think it seems s- it seems so simple, but a lot of people don't do it. We don't have that feedback loop a lot
Well,
of
and I've done it
times.
for years, tinkering in Bubble and Softer and building stuff for clients that they don't want, wasting time, and I'll send something, tell a client I spent all night, making this app that'll help us get out SEO articles 50% faster. And they're like, great, Billy. Like,
I we have a challenge with the channel a lot of times. It's you just got to sign up for Stripe and just start sending people Stripe links with what you're trying to build and see if they'll actually buy it. I don't care if it's a dollar, $5. It's just like if you don't get a response back or they're like, yeah, it's not a great thing, like don't even try. Get really good at clever names and descriptions of these Stripe links, and then that's it.
yeah,
Because if not, it's a lot of time and stress and
yeah,
I think a lot of people and it's the psychology of getting rejected and all those things, but the more you get rejected, the more you do it, it just feels all right. You'll be okay. And I think you can build a lot quicker and build the right things quicker. So, yeah, I like what you're saying. I like what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Do you go to meetups, by the way? Do you like going to meetups or anything like that? Have you tried that in
No, I don't go meet nerds in real life. No, I would like to. I'm not. I'm mostly in my basement grinding and coding. I probably
I love it.
should do more tech meetups.
Well,
I've gone to
even
music production meetups before in DC. Those are pretty fun.
those are good. Listen, I would say this,
Yep.
and I would encourage people to not go to tech meetups. Go to other meetups because you'll be the most technically sound person there. And then it's like it's a blue ocean versus
Yep.
I've been to so many conferences where everyone is trying to meet like the five people that have money or that could like pay for the app. But if you go to anything, if you're interested in real estate, I was at a locksmith class the other week and I was like, they were just asking things. I was like, I could build an app for exactly what they're looking for. And no one else really has that skill set. I would say go to another vertical and then just meet people there.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is one of the things I'm not good at that I need to get better at. But like your competitive advantage, right? You don't want to compete against. You're competing against everyone across the world when you're selling online. Your where you live is your competitive advantage. So sign up for your chamber of commerce. You need an LLC, and then chamber of commerce dues are, I don't know, 150 bucks, 200 bucks a year, and go to meetings and solve problems for people. You could join a group like BNI, that's similar to your chamber of commerce. Yeah, go talk to people, blue collar, white collar, whatever.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And like you said, start building, work on these things, and keep us posted. So, Billy, again, thank you so much for the time. Where can the good people find you? You have so many side projects. Tell the people where should they find you on social, your website, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, Billy J. Howell on Twitter and YouTube. So YouTube, if you're wanting to learn, probably a good place for you to start. And then if you have an app idea and you want someone to help you build it, stupidsimpleapps.com with hyphens in between the words. That's where you find me. You probably also find me hooping in Arlington, Virginia. So
I love to see it. I love to see a DMV out here. I love to support them. All right, man. Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the show.